So this is a question about a game design documents, and I think you mean like this traditional fairy tale version of what a game design document is, where it's like this document that has every single aspect of the game detailed out, and like every single place you're going to go to, and action happen, and every enemy and weapon and all that. Those exist in movies and bad game development schools. Way too much this one, because I see this occasionally, people thinking that these are real. They're not. They're not. Now, do you have documents that convey information to the team working on something where you have like kind of descriptions of things? Sure. Do you have pitch decks when you're going to go pitch your game that talks about like moments in the game and stuff? Yeah, but not everything. This is why, for the previous video I just made about AI in games, it's never going to happen, because like if I would make a game design document for Left 4 Dead, it would be 50,000 pages and still not have everything in it, right? Because are you going to really detail every single space you walk, every space you could walk, every single thing you're going to encounter? And like, no, you go for, so there's a bunch of different ways saying, let's just eject this and say the whole thing that everything's detailed. It never happens. But there's a bunch of different ways to approach it. And it's just really how what works for you. Now, on big teams, you do have to convey information. And so, like, for the Anacrusis, I think I delivered like one line for each enemy of like what the goal was and the kind of thing it was, and then what it looked like. I don't care. It's the artist to decide what it animates like and all of that. Like that's all different people going to be weighing in on that. And for our game, we had what we call design pillars, and those were things like the game isn't about difficulty; it's about experience. And so that just lets people know, like, hey, this isn't about punishing the player and having them die continuously. That's a failure case, right? And that's actually a problem we had with the game for a really long time, and it became problematic. But there's also like the idea of just you have the goal of we're going to make, like, Left 4 Dead was really a goal driven. We're going to make a co-op game that you have to stick together. And then that's the goal, and then everything else is kind of like the map to the goal, and you're just pointing that way, going, okay, does this help or hinder this? Does this convey this? Does this, like in Left 4 Dead, I remember an animator, I think I've told this before, of like just coming up to me and going, we'll never ship the hunter because that takes away people's agency, and you just have to wait for other players to help you. We will never ship an enemy like that. I'm like, oh yeah, we will. Yeah, we will, because that fits that goal, right? That makes that you can't be a lone gunman. Some people really push back against the idea of the lone gunman. But like for me, a lot of times what I do when I start working on something is I start collecting a series of notes. Now I have this idea of what I'm making. I have this theme of what I'm making. Like this new thing that I'm working on is about our relationships with technology, and how, if you ever read Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut, uh, it's all about this revolution against technology. And the first thing they do is when they win, they start reusing technology to make their lives easier because we're stupid people. And so like that's like kind of the genesis for what's going on in there. But then I have a bunch of notes, and so I'm a big note taker because I like to be able to just throw things in, and then I just go back and I read them. And so here's one: layers of data when scouting. So when going to a new area, there isn't just one piece of information you're finding. There's different things that you can find that are helpful to you. Is that actionable? It is for me. Is it actionable for you? Maybe not. So maybe that's not a way you can do it, right? Uh, no outside information is in this world that we're going to be in. It's all self-contained inside of here. You have to capture areas to reveal and understand the further bit of information that happens after the scouting. And so just like notes like that are helpful to me. And then sometimes I just write little bits of dialogue in there, or I'll write things like I should do, like, hey, add a shield system. So I did that. This week I added vending machines, because I think one of the things we were missing with the Anacrusis was a lot of interaction and a lot of that kind of stupid in the world, partially just because we were so pressed for time doing it. And so I wanted to make sure that I have that captured in here. And so there's a lot of that kind of thing. And then I outline like systems that'll be in there, and things like, in my world, batteries are valuable, and are they the currency that then gates your ability to expand your systems, or is it money, or is it resources of scrap to build it out, or is it things that you're wearing in the system of eco suits that you're wearing? Are those the gate? Like, and how you think about that? Because think about everything as an economy and money. and they're just different versions of it. And then how do those work together and work against each other, and what gates, and what happens if somebody finds a whole bunch of one thing? Does that negate the others and work, right? It's like those are the kind of notes I have. And those are thoughts on those, because often I like to leave myself with a problem or something I don't understand as I go to bed, and then I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I have a solution, sometimes I don't. Sometimes things sit in this thing for a while. It's hard, especially when you're by yourself, right? And so sometimes that's why I'll talk with people about what I'm working on, just to see. And so then, yeah, for me, it just matures over time. And so a lot of it can be paper designed that way, of me just thinking about it, but then it's a lot of implementation. And once the implementation starts happening, then you start really getting into the feedback, like, oh yeah, this just doesn't work, this doesn't, right? So like, if you look at where I am today on this game, it feels like I'm not very far, except I am, because I ejected last year a whole bunch of stuff that just wasn't working, that just didn't gel with the goals of kind of what I wanted it to be about, and how it wanted to work, and how I wanted people to feel. And now I'm in there, and then the course of the game and the gameplay all makes sense now. The things that you're doing, your progression curves all make sense. And now it's just me implementing it. It's just doing work. This is part of the game I like doing, where it's just work. And so then it becomes, because it gives you opportunity to then be like, oh man, if you could do this, then you should be able to do this. And so for me, that's how I do it. But again, everybody has their own different way of doing it. And does this tell me how many lines? Like, so this is really this year I started this fresh. It does not tell me how many lines. I don't know, a couple thousand lines of stuff. Oh, and my last note in here was bring it in. Like all dudes always are like, yeah, bring it in, bring it in. I've never ever had anybody bring it in with me before, but it'd be funny if the AI you're fighting in here brought it in every so often. I thought it'll make more sense. It'll make more sense. But for me, it made me laugh. Yeah, to see if there's anything else I could share. No. Yeah, I want you to be able to skip the person who's talking, and then how do you do that, and then how do they react to that and stuff. That was the other thing that'll be later this week if I get to it. Otherwise, next week. And so I'm building some of those foundational things, and then build, like I said, out everything now that I've tested everything. So there's a document, but it's not I don't know what a real game design document looks like. How's this? For all the people I've worked with and helped, I've never seen one in the way that is described as a classic one. Am I just babbling, or am I getting to a point? These are often the questions I ask myself when I make these videos.